Recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Hello! Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And this week's guest is someone I first became aware of a couple of years ago after searching for an obscure Beach Boys song on the internet. He was going over this record in tons of detail, going into deep tracks, providing all the history of the album, and ultimately giving his review at the end. You can tell he's very well read, he knows what he's talking about, and he's always super positive. He can find the good in almost any album he reviews. And I always kind of admired that about him. I've gotten to know him a little bit during his Q&A chats on YouTube, and he's just an all-around super nice guy. So, without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the show the undisputed king of Beach Boys reviews and the host of the YouTube channel by the same name. He is the one and only Giggens. Giggens, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. How's it going?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So, you're an East Coast guy, right?
I'm on the East Coast, yeah, of this planet. Yeah.
It's good to finally chat with you in person, man.
I know. I've seen your name pop up on my videos for a long time, so it's cool to put a voice to a name.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, the nickname Giggens, where did you get the nickname Giggens?
So, a friend of mine in high school, when I was like 14, we were all like really into pop punk at that time. Mm-hmm. And there's a band called MXPX, which I'm sure you know of.
Oh, yeah.
And back then they had a song called Murry Wakes Up Screaming. And my friend Pat just walked over to me one day and he was like, Giggens wakes up screaming. And that was it. It just stuck. And that was, everyone started calling me Giggens, and it's been my entire name as long as I've done, you know, this kind of stuff. So yeah,
dude, that's
not
awesome.
A crazy story, but just completely random. So Pat, if you're listening, thanks, man.
MXPX. Well, you know, my buddy Lee, he used to always blast the song, you know, Chick Magnet and Move to Bremerton and all that good stuff. Yeah. So I'm well aware. Yeah. So that's awesome.
I haven't played them since then. Like, that's kind of when I stopped listening to them. But back in the 90s, MXPX was great back then. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean, I haven't bought any of their albums or anything like that lately.
It's been years.
Yeah. But yeah, that's awesome, man. So a lot of subscribers seem to have found you the same exact way that I did, which is through the Beach Boys. Would you say that's a fairly accurate statement?
100%. Yeah.
So what was the actual, was there a certain episode or a certain review that got the most likes or comments or views that started it all? Or was it a combination of a few different episodes that you had?
It's a combination of a few, but mostly the one I did for Holland, the Beach Boys album Holland from 1973. That one really sort of took off. Like, I saw that YouTube had a void for Beach Boys videos. And like, whenever you went on YouTube to look for a review, it was always Pet Sounds or maybe some greatest hit stuff. And I was like, why isn't anybody talking about Smiley Smile and Wild Honey? So I was like, I'll do it. I just started doing it. And I did that one for Holland, and that thing sort of exploded. I wasn't expecting that, but it's got a ton of views rather. And I get comments on that thing almost daily. I put that video out like 3 years ago. So
wow.
it's pretty wild, I gotta admit.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Cause like, that's how I found you too. I found you, it was one of their early 70s albums, which I plan on talking about here in a second here, but
yeah.
But I've seen, I've seen some of your old videos with, some of your bands, and I knew that you were like an actual, musician, but I've heard you say that you're in the process of recording an album. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. I'm doing like a sort of, I hate to use the word lo-fi bedroom album, but it's a lo-fi bedroom album.
Gotcha.
And it's going okay. It's going slow, but it's going okay. And I wanted to have it out by April this year, but that definitely didn't happen. So I'm hoping to have something out by the end of the year, probably an EP. And it's going to be sort of acoustic rock, sort of like if you put like the Beatles with Ted Leo and maybe Weezer into a blender and stir it up, it's going to sound kind of like that. But I'm excited for it. I've been writing for years, and I've never really put out my own. I've put out things here and there, but I never put out like a full thing with just me for myself without another band I was in. So I'm pretty stoked.
So this is kind of like McCartney's first album, or Foo Fighters' first album?
Oh, completely. I'm doing everything, so it's very McCartney-ish. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So are you using like all sorts of different instruments, and like how many? Is this going to be like all over the place, or?
Not too many instruments. Mostly your common stuff. So bass, drums, guitar, piano. There's a kazoo at moments, and I've also got this little weird, wacky sound effects machine that I got from a Halloween store before it closed. And it makes these really weird theremin type sounds when I like hold it up to certain things. So I'm kind of playing with that. So it's a little trippy in parts, but it's mostly like a pop rock kind of thing.
Nice. Right on. So I've always been curious about, the recording process. So what comes first when you're recording something? What are you laying down first as far as your tracks? Is it like the guitar, or is it the drums? Is it the vocals, or does it depend on the song, or how does that work?
It mostly depends on the song, but like it's funny you mentioned that because I am a drummer. I've been playing drums since I was about 5 or 6. And so for most songs, drums would be the first thing you lay down and you build on top of that. But I'm such a rhythmic guitarist because of being a drummer. So a lot of the times the acoustic guitar is the first thing I put down, and then I put everything else on top of that because I follow the guitar.
Gotcha.
So usually guitar, or piano.
Nice. Now, is this going to be like just digitally recorded? Is this going to be pressed on like CDs, or is this going to be, are you going to actually have a vinyl like pressing of this, or?
Oh yeah. No, I'm going to press records,
awesome.
Probably CDs and tapes, but definitely records. Yeah.
Nice. So you're expecting that, what, like fall or winter, or is it just, you're just feeling it out? Just feeling it out at this point. Oh, I got you. Okay.
I'm hoping like I want it out before Thanksgiving. That's kind of my goal now. I'm giving myself some time to like really focus on it over the summer and have it out as like a Christmas thing, I think.
Right on. Well, good Christmas gift. So I'll be looking out for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I've heard you talk about how you originally got into music. It's kind of similar to, how I got into music, which is, you kind of like work your way up. Like I heard that the Alvin and the Chipmunks album kind of like originally got you into music. Is this correct?
Yeah. Monk rock, man. That was one. That tape blew my mind when I was 4.
That's awesome. I remember having the, well, I don't know if I had it. I think somebody else had it, and I used to listen to it, but the old Disco Disney album with
yeah. I've seen that record. I used to have that. I
That's
think
awesome.
I totally know that one.
It had like Macho Duck on there. I was a big fan of Macho Duck back in the day. Yeah. So
that one takes me back.
Now, how did that happen, by the way? So like you just, somebody bought that album for you, or how did the Chipmunks turn into, getting into different types of music?
It's funny. It's one of those like magical things that I've never forgotten. I was at a store called Bradley's back home, which doesn't exist anymore. It was a department store, kind of like a Woolworths or Kmart, Walmart kind of thing. And we went by the tape section because this was the 90s. And I just remember seeing this cassette tape with the Chipmunks playing guitars. And I was like, oh, what's this all about? I remember looking at the back of it, and like I could read some stuff, but I wasn't really reading by that point. And my aunt was kind of telling me what the song names were. She was like, oh, that's a song by the Beatles. That's a song by the Beach Boys. That's Petula Clark. That's Gary Lewis and the Playboys. And I was like, oh, cool. I have no idea who these people are.
Yeah.
And so we took it home, and I just started playing it. And something that just spoke to me. And then that was it. It just like it clicked for me. And then one day my brother discovered my mom's copy of the Beach Boys on the Summer. And he came into my room one night, and we put it on the tape deck, and he played the real version of California Girls. And it was one of those like mind-blowing moments. I'll never forget that.
Oh, it's awesome.
And that was it. From there on, just hardcore Beach Boys fan, and Beatles and everybody else.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that Endless Summer is the album that got them into the Beach Boys, like specifically the Beach Boys. So they gotta love that album. Is that like their first greatest hits album, or there might have been a best of before that, but
that's their first good greatest hits album.
That's awesome.
I use that term lightly. They put out 3 best of the Beach Boys albums in the late 60s, and they are such a varying quality. I mean, the songs are good, but the idea behind it and the sequencing is totally messed up. Like one of them has Frosty the Snowman. The second or third one also has 409, which the first one had. it's just kind of all over the place. Like Long Tall Texans there. It's kind of like someone just had their Spotify playlist on shuffle and said, just put that out. But Endless Summer has like a cohesiveness to it. And it's definitely, I mean, the cover alone is enough to make you want to sit there and look at it, let alone what's on it. But that record, cool. So good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I have a similar story with the Monkees got me into kind of like,
no way.
Yeah, the Monkees TV show when they started replaying it on MTV back in like 1986. I talked about this in my last episode when we were talking about the Beatles. But like my dad noticed that I was getting really into the Monkees. I'm like, man, these songs are great. I love the guys; they're funny. And my dad's like, well, you want to see where this this all came from? Why don't I show you the Beatles? And I go, yeah, okay. I mean, if they're as good as these guys, then yeah. So then, I went down that rabbit hole. Yeah. So and then of course, I always liked Beach Boys songs, but then it turned into like, my dad made me a mixtape of the Beach Boys and all that good stuff. So then when I first got a CD player, I picked up the Beach Boys Made in USA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first thing that got me like really super into the Beach Boys after my dad's mixtape, of course. But
that's such a good CD. I remember my brother had that on cassette, and that one was always weird for me because I think it's got Heroes and Villains on it, but it follows like a real poppy song. It was like, I don't know, Be True to Your School or something. And then the Heroes and Villains comes on. It's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, it's an interesting CD too. Well, especially now looking back on it, because it jumps from like, the 60s, like right into like, okay, here we're in the mid 80s now. You're like, oh, okay.
I know. It's got one of the only places where you can find Rock and Roll to the Rescue and California Dreamin'. It's kind of a cool 80s document.
Yeah, it's not bad either. It's like, some of their 80s stuff isn't like great, but those songs aren't bad. Like, I don't know. It's they sound like 80s songs for sure, but
oh, completely. Yeah, completely.
that 80s production and all that good stuff. Yeah. So, which is funny because my dad, we used to have this local, everybody, grew up with a oldie station in town.
Yeah,
and I used to love this oldie station. Man, I used to record all my songs on there and everything. And I was like so into this oldie station. And then after I got out of college, I ended up working at that oldie station. So it was kind of cool. Yeah. So.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, it was really fun. So, and I got to produce one of the morning shows that they had there. So I learned a lot. I got to burn all their CDs. So I essentially have every oldie song there ever was. So
that is so cool, man. Like, I did college radio for 5 years. Like I can tell you've done radio because your voice is so perfect for radio. You've got that cadence that's like the delivery's there, and I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing with a microphone.
Well, thank you. I'll accept that. Thank you. Take that as a compliment. Yeah. So
total compliment. Yeah. No, I mean, like my radio voice is all right, but you've got it down, man.
Well, the thing about you is that you have that ability to flip on the camera, and it's boom. You're just sitting there, basically just explaining all your thoughts. You have a little bit of notes that you look down occasionally at your notes, but you have it all up in your head, and you're not doing any editing, so that's impressive. That's one of the first things I noticed. I was like, dude, this guy's he's just ranting along, just going through this album, remembering all the tracks. Obviously, I'm sure you probably listened to the albums up until you do the review, but scrolling through the internet, you see this guy holding up this album, and I'm like, all right, well, right there, I want to see what this is all about. So like, that's how I found you. That's how I'm sure a lot of people found you, because. And you have that, you have your cool little backdrop of, all of your CDs and posters and stuff like that in the background. So it's visually pleasant.
Thanks, man. Yeah. No, I hate editing, so that's a big thing for me. And two, like, I wanted to make it as conversational as possible, because there's nothing more fun than like chilling in someone's room and they're just like talking about music,
Right.
And you're holding the record, you're looking at it. So that's my whole vibe of the video. It's like you're just chilling with me,
It is cool. It really does make you feel like you're just talking to someone that's sitting next to you, and that's fantastic.
I mean, a lot of people I know do like the jump cut stuff, which is fine. If it works for them, that's cool. Like my buddy Anthony Fantano, he does that jump cut stuff too, but he's really good at it, so I can't do that. So with my style, I just hang out and chat. But yeah, my goal is to always be able to hold the album. I've never done a review where I didn't have something to hold. I don't think, maybe there's one in there somewhere, but because it's just, I love having people over when it's COVID times and we can just chill and
Yeah.
listen to music.
Right. Yeah, totally. And I'm sure your videos helped a lot of people get through COVID because like everyone's just sitting there looking for a friend talking about music or something like that. I found you actually before COVID, but it was cool. It was cool to like, I was like, hey, what's Giggens talking about today? Oh, he's talking about this album. Right on. Let's check it out.
Yeah, no, I've gotten that message a lot actually. People like last summer I did a bunch of live streams because people loved having something to do, and I was the same way. Whenever I saw a live stream, I would jump on somewhere. Cool. I haven't done too many in the last 6 months. I'm going to start doing more, come summertime again. But yeah, no, people have told me that a lot, and it's like the best compliment because I don't promote myself at all.
Right.
I'm horrible at it, and I never tell people to subscribe or like or any of that stuff. I mean, people will do it if they like it, So. Right. I don't really force it on them, which I know for YouTube is like the dumbest thing you can do, but people get the point.
No, yeah, the way that you're growing your page is by your good content. And so, I mean, there's different ways to grow a Facebook page or a YouTube page. I mean, I'm not sure how to grow a YouTube page myself, but your friend, I've watched him do, you said it was Anthony? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched, Fantano, I think I watched him do his review on Weezer. His Weezer albums. And
he's good at those. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, man, I wouldn't even know how to like go over all the different Weezer albums. Like, there's so many. I know some of the Weezer albums, but I don't know all of them that well. But yeah. He laid it out there. So
their last two ones have been awesome. Like Van Weezer just came out. It's really good. I recommend it.
Did you like the cover album?
It was all right.
Yeah.
It is what it is, you know. But yeah, OK Human that came out in January was unbelievably good, and Van Weezer's been a lot of fun. So they're on a roll this year, so I'm happy for them.
Awesome. What's your favorite Weezer album?
Oof, if I had to pick one, as cliche as it is, I'd say Pinkerton.
Yeah,
that one was there, one? Like when you're a lonely teenager kid with bad acne and bad hair.
Do you remember the first piece of vinyl that you ever purchased?
The first record I ever bought with my own money was I think it was the Green album, actually.
Oh yeah.
As far as like a new album goes, yeah, I bought that when it came out in whatever year that was, 2000 or 2001. I Hot Topic, and it was like $10 because no one was buying records at that point. So it was super cheap.
Wow.
Still have it. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I actually have this the very first I bought two albums together the first time. I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at. This is like 1980. I don't even know, like 1987 or something like that. And I was like, I knew I wanted to get a Monkees record. I got more of the Monkees, and then I'm like, and my dad's like, you should get this one. And I was like, what? Who is this? And it was Men at Work's Cargo. So it was there.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I love both of those albums. They were like really good. And so, yeah, kudos to my dad for knowing that I would, be into. The first two Men at Work albums are super good. Like they're really, really good albums.
They're an underrated band. I think.
Are.
I think these days are a little more forgotten than they used to be.
Yeah. Well, because they really didn't. I don't think they really didn't do anything after that. They broke up and Carlin.
Well, that's true. It's
released like 100 albums after that.
Hard to stay in the public eye when you're not a band anymore.
Yeah. So now one of my favorite videos that you ever did was you bought like this random album and you brought it out, and I think you got it from a thrift store or something like that, or some secondhand store, and had all these like little markings and stars and notes and stuff on it, and this was so awesome. I connected so much with this because it was a used piece of record, and then you're going through it like it was like, this is history, man. This is like someone took the time to like mark their favorite songs, and like they were going over and they were putting all these little notes on there, and you're going through it. And I was like, this is awesome, man. Cause this is exactly how I feel about like when I go in and I look at used vinyl and stuff. Sometimes I won't buy it because it's too marked up, but sometimes if it's like, if the actual record itself is in really super good shape, and the cover's really nice, and the back is like, marked up, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
But that's so cool. Like, I love that you pulled that out. You're like going through it, and like, that was awesome, man. I don't know. It's kind of a weird video for me to really like, but I really connected with that one because like, that's exactly how I feel. I love used vinyl for that reason, because it has that history. I'm like, whoa, someone like actually had this, like they bought this like in the 60s or the 70s. And they spun this like when it came out, and they enjoyed it. And I was like, that's so cool to me.
Yeah.
I also love, some people don't like this, but I will, when I used to upload my CDs into iTunes, I didn't like that the 60s albums, they had the perfect covers. And I would go and I'd find on the internet the little rings that they had on like the old on the old vinyl. Oh my God, I did the same thing, dude. Yeah. And I was like, I'm putting this picture to this one because I do not want the Beatles, when they came out, they didn't have like, this perfect CD picture, and they look different too. They look different than the CDs. So yeah, I always like that part of that aspect of your show.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, I was just doing that the other day. I uploaded something to my computer. I had to look through the album artwork, and I found some crusty looking picture of a cover, and I was like, that's the one. But yeah, no, awesome. I love used records because you hold something from 1969 and you're like, wow, like this thing lived in someone's living room, like someone probably rolled a joint on this thing, like it was like this was a part of someone's life. Exactly. And then they didn't need it anymore, and now I've got it.
Yeah, right.
When I'm dead and gone, someone else will have it. Like it's just crazy how we enjoy this, we cherish this thing for a while and maybe give it up, maybe keep it forever. So I love when I have people's names on things. I think one of the ones I have is a Rolling Stones album where someone wrote which members were cuter than the others. It's great. Like that's someone lived with that album. Some kid loved that album,
Right.
So yeah, no, I think it's great. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah, like I was, gosh, it had to be like, I don't know, 6 months ago or something like that. Could have been longer. I have who knows what time is over this last year. But I was in I think it was Goodwill. I was in Goodwill, and you do not ever find like Beatle albums at Goodwill. And
you get whipped cream with the lights.
I was like, this girl is like out there with Jen. She goes, hey, what's this? And I go, what? That's the first Beatles album. What is that doing in here? I was like, wait a minute, is that in good shape? And she's like, yeah. And I go, let me see that. And it was in good shape. I was like, okay.
Crap.
That same place, like a month later, had the White Album. and it had like all the inserts and everything, and I was like, how like rare it is to find the White Album with all the inserts and like in great condition. She's like, are you gonna get it? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you already have it? And I go, yeah. Like, I'm buying it again for $1.
You have to get it. Yeah.
Come on, are you kidding? That's not even a question. So yeah, do you remember the first CD that you ever purchased?
With my own money, it was Abbey Road.
Oh, nice.
I think I was 8 or 9.
That's a good first.
Yeah, the other ones I'd gotten for like birthday presents and stuff. My brother and I would get them for presents. But yeah, I remember saving up for that one. I was buying the tapes before that. I remember I spent like 3 months saving up for Yellow Submarine. Yeah. And this is before the internet. So I remember looking at the back of it being like, look at all these songs I don't know inside too. And then putting it on and being like, what the hell is this? Kept fast forwarding, waiting for Ringo to sing something. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Oh, George Martin.
Now I love that side. But back when I was 8, I was like, this is a bummer.
Yeah, right. Oh, what a ripoff.
$18 for 4 songs. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's funny that you said Abbey Road was your first album, because Revolver was my first CD that I ever bought. Yeah, along with some 70s classic rock compilation, which was pretty awesome as well. He was orange. I can't remember
with that.
Yeah, no. It was like the super groups of the 70s. And I was like, yeah. So I think that when you shine the brightest on your show is when you dig deep on your songs and provide the history of what was going on within, just for example, like the Beach Boys. Like before I started watching your channel, I thought I knew a lot about the Beach Boys, but I know nothing about the Beach Boys when it comes to Giggens. Giggens here is, you're the Beach Boys guy. And, you could type in like any album of the Beach Boys and I'm guessing you're pretty much running out of Beach Boys albums at this point, but you could always go back and, revisit those and, update some of these, reviews or do different things.
I've done a couple like that.
Yeah.
I've done a thing called Spin It Again where I go back and play a couple of different albums again. But I think I've got 4 or 5 albums left to do that I haven't touched yet. I'm kind of slowing it down, just to drag it out a little bit, because I don't want people to go away after the Beach Boys are done. Well, he did Pet Sounds. That's the last one he said he would do. Time to unsubscribe.
No. I don't think people see there's so much music out there. I think that you could definitely keep people going with. That was your introduction. Yeah, you got people into you through the Beach Boys. So I think that the way that you do your show with, holding up the vinyl and going through all the different songs and the history and stuff like that can go on for a while with a lot of different bands.
And it's fun to talk about bands that don't get their limelight. Like I love talking about the Lovin' Spoonful, the Rascals, or all those 60s groups that were huge at the time, but are a little forgotten now. And I use that term loosely, but so I love going deep into those bands because it's nice to have something left on the internet that's a document for people to learn from. That's kind of why I do it, just for an educational kind of thing, but also for a conversational thing. But it's good to give bands their due, but now. So it's fun. Yeah, I dig it so much.
Lovin' Spoonful. Oh, I love those guys, man. They're so good. They're good.
So underrated.
Way underrated. They're like those bands that everybody knows the songs, but nobody knows who the Lovin' Spoonful are. I mean, I John Sebastian, everybody knows. I mean, well,
sure, yeah.
Actually, nobody knows who. I mean, maybe in the 70s they knew John Sebastian, Welcome Back and stuff like that. But that guy was amazing. So
he did the Care Bears song, right?
He did the Care Bears song. That's awesome.
Care Bears Countdown. You remember that?
Oh my God, I had. I'm mixing it up with the Cabbage Patch Kids. So he did the theme song to the Care Bears?
Yeah, that's him.
That's funny. That is funny.
Crazy.
That's awesome. So have you ever seen the movie The Wrecking Crew, the documentary?
Yes.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's really good.
When I first saw that, I freaked out and I was like, oh, everybody I know has to see this movie. Everybody has to see this. And I started getting so into these people I knew of Hal Blaine. I didn't know a lot about Hal Blaine. I mean, nobody knows a lot about Hal Blaine. I mean, especially back in the day. But I knew of him, and but it was interesting learning about all these different studio musicians, and it was crazy how the son of what was his name, Tommy Tedesco. He was he recorded that stuff years ago, like 10 or 20 years. I don't even know how long ago it was, but you could tell it's because you've clearly people that are long gone that are in this documentary and they're young.
Oh, I know.
But it's crazy to see. It's he turned that into a documentary, and I guess he had to do a Kickstarter online because he wanted to put more songs in it. He's these songs cost a lot of money. You can't put these songs in here. So, but I if anybody has not seen the documentary The Wrecking Crew, you got to see that. It's a great documentary, especially if you old music like the Beach Boys and basically anybody who was anybody back then. So.
If it wasn't for the Wrecking Crew or the Funk Brothers, for Motown, or Booker T and the MGs for Stax, I mean, those 3 groups basically did every song in the 60s.
Exactly. I wish the Funk Brothers one. I was kind of I wasn't impressed with that one because they kept going to them doing songs in concert. I was like, all right, that's okay, but I want them to get deep, into what they were talking about, all the songs and stuff like that, kind of like what Giggens does. I was kind of, I'm more into that kind of thing. So what's that one that they did where it was they were down in was it Louisiana or something like that?
Oh, the Muscle Shoals one?
Yes, that was a cool one too. Where they worked with a bunch of people.
Alabama or something? I can't remember what that is, but Muscle Shoals, that one was good. Yeah,
that was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. A lot of cool looking shots in that one too. Yeah, so.
Oh my God. Yeah, totally. I was just thinking about Muscle Shoals today because I picked up a reissue of Aretha Franklin's Gold album, which is her greatest hits from 1969 or 70. And on the back, the liner notes are great because it actually shows pictures of the people who played on it, which you don't see too often.
That's crazy.
But it mentions Muscle Shoals because a couple of songs they did were at that studio.
Yeah, some big ones by her, right? Yeah,
I think
that's awesome.
Never Loved a Man was recorded there or something, which is unreal. I mean, it's such a classic song. That studio had such a magic to it.
It's crazy too. Some of these studios, they when you hear these guys talk about them, they're people think that these studios were something special. And like, if you see that that documentary, that was it Sound City? Did you see Sound City?
Oh yeah, that one's great. Oh my god!
They're like, this place is a dump. But it was all about the board. And
great.
like, you wouldn't want to, like, if you drop something on the floor, you just kiss that sucker goodbye. You don't want to eat that.
I mean, if you look at pictures of like at Studio 2 in Abbey Road, I don't think they've ever painted that place.
Yeah, right.
I think it's exactly the same as when the Beatles were there. Like they know it sounds good. Don't touch a thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's really all about the music. I mean, really all about the music. Yeah. So. Yeah, so let's. I want to get into some music with you, as if we haven't been talking about music already. But so I need some more clarification on this. This is actually an opinion that's not shared by just yourself. It's a lot of people. But the American release of Rubber Soul is your favorite Beatles album. Is that correct? Or did
if I had to pick just one, yeah, that's the one.
So okay, so now. Is that because you grew up hearing that version, or do you think that the actual songs together on that particular, the US version, because it starts with like, they removed like the first 4 songs on that album, like Drive My Car and Nowhere Man and What Goes On and If I Need
like
Someone.
That. I definitely grew up with the US one because my dad had the record, so we used to play that when I was a kid.
Gotcha.
There's nothing better than starting that album off with "I've Just Seen a Face." That's the perfect intro song.
It is a great song,
and it's buried on side 2 of "Help" or something in the England one.
Right.
But I also grew up with "Yesterday and Today," where most of those other songs ended up. So for me, "Drive My Car" is a "Yesterday and Today" song just as much as "Nowhere Man" is. So I know exactly what to say that. But the track list on the US one is great because "It's Only Love" is on there. I mean, it's got a home on that one. On "Help," it sounds lost. But they kind of made they tried to cash in on that folk rock Birds mid-era Simon and Garfunkel-esque type stuff by making a slightly folky album because there's more acoustics on it, I guess. But I just like the sequencing on it. It just plays like a cohesive thought, and that's the version that influenced Pet Sounds was that US version, not the British one.
Yeah, so and it makes sense too because like I talked about this on my last episode with my buddy John, and we were talking about a lot of people. If you read the reviews of the UK version of that album, the same thing comes up over and over. Is What Goes On is like in the middle of that album, and people are like, it kind of doesn't go. I mean, it's an okay song, but it kind of sounds like their older stuff, and it's kind of confusing to be mixed in here with these other songs that are so like eclectic and they're so different. And then What Goes On, kind of like, it's almost kind of like they're going backwards, which is interesting. I still like that song, but it's it kind of doesn't mix in that sequence. If that makes sense. No,
it definitely gets lost. And they did that to give Ringo a song, but that was one of those tracks where they like had a lunch break and wrote it as they recorded it kind of thing. Like, here you go, Ring. All right, great,
Yeah, no.
So, I mean, it's an okay song. There's a couple of really dumb lines on it, but I mean, you're not going to make every song perfect, but it is kind of sad to go from like, In My Life or something, then you hear What Goes On. It's like, well, come on, man.
Definitely.
So hearing it on Yesterday and Today makes more sense. Because it's sort of a grab bag of random stuff. But yeah, that's definitely a back step of a song for sure.
I mean, again, I still enjoy it, but it just listening to it, if you're listening to the album as it was made, which I kind of prefer that because that's how I envision them, releasing their albums is how they want to put them in order. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah, totally.
That's kind of like, the old, argument of Let It Be, which Let It Be, I have some major issues with Let It Be, but a lot of it has to do with Paul really didn't have anything to do with that. So it's like all just of course, it wasn't produced by George Martin. So it's like kind of like a mess. But
it's a complete mess.
And how can you not end that with Let It Be? Like, are you kidding? Like, it's a perfect all right.
Perfect ending.
Yes. It's like the song says it all. Like you could have ended the last one with the end, but no, you had to throw Her Majesty on there. But then the next album, you're like, okay, well, this is it. It's really it. It's time to let it be. Nope, we're gonna throw that not at the end. So I can get worked up
Oh
about
my
this kind of
God.
stuff.
It's, like, I love that album. I love the songs on it.
Mhm.
It's probably one of my least played albums of the Beatles.
Yeah,
Easily.
I think so too. Because now, did you ever hear the? I'm sure you did. What a stupid question to ask Giggens, Mr. Giggens. But when they re-released the Let It Be ... Naked.
Yeah.
That I was blown away by that album. I was like, oh my
preferred
God.
version. Yeah.
Oh, it was just pretty much every
perfect.
song. Like, they're cutting out all the junk. They're going through the album, how everything sounds better about it. They're removing the junk songs and the clutter and all the just stuff they really don't need on there. And because when you're listening to a Beatles album, you want to hear, like, you want to, it's not like a Pink Floyd album. You don't want to wait like 15 minutes for the song to start. You just want it to start, right? So, yeah, like, I mean, get to the point. Like, I want to hear the song start. It's like a Beatles song. So that's why some of these songs they got later period like, I want to throw on the Revolution of a Nine. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. No,
you got a good point. I mean, like, you want to hear them. They're one of those bands where they don't really work when they're unpolished, Yeah. Like the White Album proved that, where it works because of its charm, but doing that twice for them did not work well. Yeah. In my humble opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love the White Album, by the way. Love it. But
oh yeah, it's one of my favorites too. Yeah,
so good. Now, anybody that's listened to the radio over the last 50 years, 55, I don't even know how long it's been now, but but anybody knows that era, knows about the famous era of the Beach Boys, which is what would you say, like 62 to 68 or 9, or essentially the 60s, right?
Yeah, definitely 62 to 66 for sure. Yeah, up to Good Vibrations.
Right. So we could go over the hits all day long, and especially with you. I mean, we could go over those and rehash those over and over, which is fine. I love the Beach Boys and the Beatles are really what got me really into music. So
same man. Yeah.
All my love goes to those two bands, especially. But they're probably they're the most successful American band of the entire decade, possibly ever. I mean, like, as far as popularity, I don't know.
I think like Aerosmith is the most most popular American rock band, but I think for a pop group, the Beach Boys probably have it.
Yeah, and they're huge. I mean, certainly in the 60s, they're the big kings. So, but what would be your favorite Beach Boys song from the popular era? Do you have like a song that is your favorite of that era?
I go back and forth with that. It's hard because there's so many, but I kind of lean towards California Girls because nostalgic reasons aside, it's such a magical composition. Like, you get this dawn breaking, walking through the Wild West introduction before you get to this upbeat, sprightly waves crashing against the beach.
It is cool.
Sunshiny day feeling. And then there's just this joyous, triumphant chorus, and those chord changes are unbelievable. The way he bounces from a major to a minor several times in one little tiny bit of music, the way he constructs that is so unusual, but it works so well. Yeah. And that song, I never get tired of that song, and there's just a certain magic that it provides that it's just instant ear candy. And I go between that and Good Vibrations, because Good Vibrations is just, I mean, it's unbelievable. It must have been, I wish I was there when it came out, because it would have been absolutely mind-blowing.
I always say that too. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, did you ever hear, what's his name? Art Garfunkel talking about that, hearing that on the radio for the first time?
No.
So I think this is on YouTube, but I think it was at the Kennedy Honors in 2007, I think it was, where they were honoring Brian Wilson. And he gets up there and he's talking and he just starts telling the story. He's like, first time I heard that song on the radio, I immediately called Paul Simon, and he goes, I think I just heard the greatest, most creative record of them all. And oh
my God,
yeah. So I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, and to hear a compliment like that from one of your contemporaries that is that big as well. must have been just awesome, man. Like, and the sound of that, it's still mind blowing to me. Like that record, everything about it, like the bass line, the vocals of Carl. Holy moly. It's wild to hear Carl. Like I love Carl Wilson. I think he's like so underrated. Like why? I'm like,
same.
It's crazy. I remember when he died back in, I was in college when I was at the radio station, and they pulled, I don't know if they bought like a CD or if they actually had like a greatest hits of the Beach Boys, and they marked like his songs and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, this is terrible. Like, I didn't even know he's like sick. And then I kept saying like, oh my gosh, like, can you believe this guy died? And like people were like, oh, that sucks. And I was like, what? Are you serious? Like, I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, this guy's like this crazy voice. It was mind blowing to me. I was like, nobody give a shit. I was like, oh, okay, well.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I remember when he died too, because like a friend of mine had just seen him in concert.
Oh, really?
The summer beforehand. Like I remember like my family couldn't spring it or something, and my buddy went. I remember him coming back telling me how great it was, and like 6 months later, Carl died. And I remember I still have the newspaper clipping when he died. But yeah, I was definitely in that vein too, where I was like, why don't more people care about this?
Yeah, no. So back up. You actually got to see him live, or you didn't get to see?
No, my best friend did. My best friend did.
Oh.
Yeah, I never got to see him. It was one of those things where it was like, didn't have a ton of money when we were kids. Yeah. So I mean, it was expensive to go see a show, but
right.
Yeah, I know my best friend Scott got to see him, and I think John Stamos was with him on that tour as well. So he got the Full House '90s whammy. Yeah. But yeah.
The same kind of thing happened to me where my buddy was like, "Hey man, George Carlin's in town." I go, "I'll see him in the next tour." I'll see him in the next tour. He's like tours nonstop, and then he died, and I was like, oh no. So like from that point on, I was like, that's it. If someone that I really love is touring, whether it's a comedian or a band or whatever, I'm going to see him, because I was so upset. Like I was in Mexico and I didn't even know about it. I got off the plane and my buddy goes, I go, hey man, how's it going? He goes, George Carlin died. And I go, dude, that's the first thing you say to me? Like, really? I was like, dude, how dare you? Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I got that mindset too, where it's like, if you get the opportunity to see someone, just go. Like, if you got the money for it, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did the same. I remember my buddy's wife, her dad is the music director on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. And
holy crap.
Yeah. And he knows that I'm a huge Beatles guy. I love Hall & Oates. He got me like Hall & Oates, he got their signatures signed. And I love this, by the way. It's a picture of the Voices album. And you could tell that he's like mid-sentence writing he goes, you said it was John, right? And he goes, oh, no, his name's Josh. So he like crosses it out and puts, Josh. And he's like, oh, sorry about that. And I'm like, I love that. It's like a cool story. It's better than a regular autograph to me. Like, but
I got a similar story that I'll tell you later. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, no, but I was gonna say, so like he told his daughter that he goes, hey, Paul McCartney is gonna be coming and doing the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and so if your buddy wants to fly out here, because I'm in Phoenix, if your buddy wants to fly out here or drive out here or whatever, I can get him in the show. And I'm like. So not only did he get me in the show, I'm like literally standing, like, I mean, we're talking 10 feet from the stage, like, Paul McCartney's sitting there. And like, I kind of got in trouble too, because I took a picture and some guy walks up to me and he goes, because nobody's in there. It was like, it's just me and my buddy. And the guy goes, who are you here with? And I go, uh-oh, I don't want to get Bart in trouble over here. And I'm like, I'm with the music director. And he goes, yeah, well, Paul doesn't like people taking pictures of him during, warm-ups. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back in the back. I don't want to get kicked out of this place. All right, you don't have to tell me twice.
Well, I drove with Paul. He's my ride, actually.
Well, you could tell he was with like the Paul crew. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just just kind of, I was scared to go anywhere after that, because I had an all access pass. Like, I was like, he's like, you can go anywhere with this pass. And I go, wow, really? And he goes, yeah, but don't. And I go, okay. So, yeah, but
you have the power.
Yeah. So you had a story about the kind of like an autograph story.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, kind of. So, have you ever seen The Room?
Wait, is The Room the one that just came out recently, or is that the one where the girl's like locked in like some basement room with her daughter?
No, so this is from like 2003.
Okay.
This guy named Tommy Wiseau. It's like one of the worst movies ever made. It's not supposed to be funny, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a drama, and the poor guy tried his best, but it just didn't come out that way.
Yes.
It's become a cult favorite. It's kind of like Rocky Horror, where you go to see it and you yell at the screen and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
It's brilliant. And, you know, this was years ago. He was doing tours where he'd come around and show the movie, and he'd be there. And he's got kind of this like European accent, but no one really knows where he's from. No one knows what his real age is. No one knows if that's really his name. He's kind of an enigma, you know? And he was like, I was trying to tell him my name, and because he was trying to like sign something, and he couldn't get it right. And so we all just like, it was just hilarious the way I was like as articulate as I could possibly say my name, and it just wasn't clicking for the dude. And so it's just that, you know, for years we would talk about that. But yeah, no,
that's awesome
stuff, man.
See, that's great. I like that. That's like didn't what's his name do like a remake of that movie, like Franco, or what's his name?
So yeah, they made a movie about the book, which is about making the movie. About a movie.
Gotcha. Okay, because at the end they were showing clips of that. Yeah. Okay. No, I got you now. Yeah.
If you get some time, if you get an hour and a half, find people to watch The Room. Don't watch it by yourself because you'll hate it. But
that's awesome.
Watch it with your friends, and it's really fun to make fun of. It's brilliant.
All right, I'm writing it down.
And horrible, but it's so good.
Awesome. Now, Giggens, what I do want to talk to you about is the era of the Beach Boys that is wildly ignored. And by the way, as mentioned before, this is how I originally found you online. Is I think I was searching for, I typed in Surf's Up, Beach Boys, and boom, Giggens. You know, you weren't the top video. I think it was like, you know, some playlist or something like that. But then there was Giggens, and I was like, what's this guy holding up this album for? I'm interested. So here we go. But that's those first three albums. I think they came out in 70, 71, 72. They charted horribly. Nobody bought them, like, at the time, and like, nobody really knows the songs on them. Like, I mean, it's crazy because when you go back and you listen to those albums, it's mind blowing to like hear. I mean, some of the best songs they ever did are on those albums.
Completely, yeah.
So, I mean, my question is, what is going on during this period? I mean, I know there's a bunch of factors, but first off, what do you think of this era? It's an interesting era for the band.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I adore that era because they were a band renewed. I mean, when they left Capitol and they got onto Warner Brothers, Warner put a lot of money into them, and Capitol had definitely sort of cut them off by the end, and they were still promoting them as a surf band, and they got completely forgotten about in America. They were humongous everywhere else in the world, but America had nothing to do with them.
Yeah. And
so for Warner to take the chance on them, they're like, we can't screw this up. And at this point, Brian was like in and out, you know, he was doing his thing. But they did Sunflower, and Brian was heavily involved in that one. And that's one of the most gorgeous albums ever made.
It's crazy.
And then he took a back seat for the next couple albums after that. But it's crazy because everybody else in the band stepped up to show that they were equally as great songwriters as Brian. Of course, Brian's were a little bit better, but the other guys really showed they can do it. And so to hear them make this music that was so insular and so of the time, and to prove that they were just as culturally significant as anybody else, and they weren't dinosaurs, because, you know, you were in a band for 10 years at that point. That's bloody ancient. I mean, bands lasted 6 months if you're lucky, you know?
Right.
So to be around for that long was unheard of. So yeah, it was crazy. I mean, they put out some of the best music they ever did, and nobody heard it unless you were a hip college kid when Surf's Up came out, because they hit the college circuit hard at that point.
Wow.
I mean, they started completely over again. They were, you know, playing basements and vaudeville show halls, and wherever they can find a place to play, they did it. And that sort of propelled them to become cool, because they weren't playing like the big hip places. They were playing like, you know, Joe's Chicken Shack kind of stuff. Right. So
just crazy.
They started doing a ton of stuff for charity and for hospitals at that time. So they were playing for like sick kids. So they were doing a lot of good, even though they weren't making a lot of money, which I think earned them a ton of credit as well. So, and they still do that. But Yeah, that era for them was just absolutely insane how on fire they were. And then when they got Blondie and Ricky in the band, they took off in a whole other direction that was just as impressive. I mean,
it's
I stand by that era so much.
Yeah, it is interesting because I don't even know if there are. I mean, I think they had songs that maybe hit the charts, but I mean, they're not songs that people really know of. I mean, you know, just in the general public. And I love the early songs. They're amazing, right? Like there's a reason why there's a reason why they were the biggest band of the 60s. Like
yeah, of course.
They had fantastic songs. I even like evil old Murry. I get his take too. What was the band that he the Sunrays? Was it the Sunrays?
Sunrays.
Yeah, I remember I heard that song on KBSG on the station that he ended up working at. But I remember we were going to this like such a 80s promo where I think it was hosted by, you know, one of the music stations in town, but they were like, we're having a sandcastle contest at Alki Beach. And I was like, oh, okay. So we went to that and it was like really cool. But like, I remember we were driving there and, you know, in Seattle in the summertime, when it's summertime, you go out because it's not sunny very often in Seattle. So you run out and you're like, oh, let's go to the beach. And it's like, oh, it's freezing out here, but you go to the beach if it's sunny. So like we went to the beach and we're at the beach and here we are, we're driving, we're in traffic because, you know, there's a traffic jam because, you know, everybody's going to the beach. So you're sitting there and the song comes on. And I was like, is this the Beach Boys? It sounds like the Beach Boys. It's really good. You know, I Live for the Sun. Love that song.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a great song.
Yes, it's so good. I was like, whoa, this didn't even hit the top 40 or something. Like it was like number 43 or something like that. I was like, that's crazy.
Something like that, yeah.
That's wild. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. So that era, the first album, the Sunflower album, which came out in 1970. Now, man, I remember I listened to that. I was trying to make this like kind of like playlist on YouTube of like the greatest Beach Boys songs. I got to that album and I was like, okay, so I'll take this one. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then like almost every song, I was like, I don't even know what to cut out. Like, I don't even, they were so good. I was like, oh my God, like these songs are amazing. Like, how, and I'm like looking around right now. I'm like, how do people not know about this like album? Like it's amazing. It has to be what? Like it has to be Pet Sounds and that album. As far as like full cohesive, like full albums, it has to be way up there, right? I mean, it's amazing. It's crazy.
Especially because like it's all of them on it. Pet Sounds is mostly Brian with the other guys coming in doing their vocal parts, but this album was like, I would say like 85% all of them playing, writing, singing. So like as far as a group project goes with all 6 of them, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's the one. But
it's crazy.
They struck magic with that production on that album. The harmonies are shimmering. They sound like angels. I mean, the whole thing is just this magical little experience. It's I recommend that album a lot for people that are a little on the fence about trying things that aren't very
Beach Boys
greatest hitsy for Beach Boys.
I know a lot of people that hate the Beach Boys, and I go, have you ever heard this album? And they're like, no. And I go, listen to that album. Like it's not Beach Boysy. I mean, it has some elements of the Beach Boys, you know, but dude, it's so good. Like, you know, Slip On Through, Got to Know the Woman. And of course, you know, the wonderful song Forever, which might be if someone's heard a song off that album, it's probably that one because of Jesse and the Rippers. I don't know. Yeah,
that one, I would say that one's probably the one people know. Cause I remember I did a cover of that on Facebook years ago and all these people were like, I love Full House. I'm like, what the, no.
Exactly.
Let me school you a little bit here, kids.
I mean, but you know, like we were saying before, you know, hey, whatever gets someone into music. I mean, a lot of people probably got into the Beach Boys through their appearance on Full House, and what's his name always talking about the Beach Boys or
completely
Kokomo. You know what I mean? Like it in the end, it doesn't really matter as long as you you know, expand your musical knowledge and all your different horizons on music and stuff like that. And but Giggens, how underrated is Dennis Wilson?
Extremely.
Like every time one of his songs comes on, like during one of these albums, I'm like, geez, man, like his album, you know, his songs are kind of like and not to compare him with how big John Lennon is, but like he's doing like the more serious songs And you could definitely tell when he comes on, his voice is all raspy, and you know, his songs are, I don't know if they're like, they seem like more dark and personal, like to me. So it kind of resonates more when one of his songs comes on.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, Dennis was a very complicated guy. He was a very deep guy, but he was also really troubled, and he was also a wild child. And so when you have someone who, on the outside, you just see this rock and roller, but on the inside, you get someone who's very, very introspective and otherworldly, really. And, you know, you hear songs like Cuddle Up or Make It Good or Only With You, and you're like, wow, where's this guy been hiding? It's all of a sudden these like deep, rich melodies that are just so un-Beach Boysy come out, and you're like, who is this guy? And so, you know, I remember the first time I heard Pacific Ocean Blue, it took me a couple of years to even get into that album because it's so heavy.
Yeah.
And I remember I first heard it when the reissue came out. I think I was like 19 or 20 when that CD came out in 2000 something. But I remember hearing it for the first time, being like, I don't know if I like this, you know? And it sort of grew with me as I grew up, really. And it still grows with me. But he was just an absolutely far out guy. He was such a good songwriter. And I really think he's up there with Brian in terms of like melody and ideas and structure and putting your soul into something. I mean, he really put his soul into his music. You feel it.
Yeah.
And when he sings on his album, on Pacific Ocean Blue, that whole album is just like, it's a heavy listen because you're inside this guy's chest, you know?
It's so funny that you said that, man, because like I found, that's one of those albums that I found in mint condition at like Goodwill.
Oh my God.
In mint condition. And I was like, I know this guy's the drummer of the Beach Boys, but I'm not familiar with this album. I bought it like 10 years ago. And just like you said, it took me a while to listen to it because like, you know, I would look it up and I'm like, hey, it doesn't have any like songs that anybody knows, or, you know, it gets kind of, it actually got, you know, pretty good ratings, but it's one of those albums that nobody bought. But, but boy, you turn on that first song and it's, I mean, they put everything into that first song as far as like, you know, hooking you. It's like, whoa, holy moly. Like it's crazy. Oh, yeah. I love listening to that, just, you know, dropping that needle, putting that song on, and you're like, whoa. Like, okay, now you can just kind of like get lost into that music because it's crazy. And of course, you know, Dennis Wilson was the good looking Beach Boy and the actual surfer, right? Like the guy that was like the
Beach Boy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, yeah, and that probably didn't help things with that guy as far as like, you know, like to party and, you know, so, and if you're fighting demons and you're also drunk and all that good stuff, it can turn out kind of like the way it did, I guess. But,
that's what's so sad about his story is that, like, you know, Brian came back, Dennis didn't.
Yeah.
And, who, you know, it's one of those what ifs, you know, like what would it have been like if Dennis had stayed around? But a lot of people think it was, you know, one of those things like Keith Moon or Mama Cass or Jimi Hendrix. Like some people just weren't, as horrible as it is to say, some people weren't meant to get old. Yeah. You know, it's one of those tragic things.
Yeah. No. So now that, I mean, just because we're talking about Dennis, like, you know, who is, by the way, for people that aren't aware, he was the drummer of the Beach Boys. But he drowned in 1983? Is that what it was? So
December of 83.
So this is so interesting. The way he was found is really interesting to me because first off, growing up, I just, you know, because, you know, you hear these stories, you're like, oh, he was drunk and he drowned. So I just assumed that he got drunk and, you know, fell off the boat in the middle of the ocean and drowned. That's not even like remotely close to like how he drowned. Like, no. And the way his body was found is kind of creepy and, but also
it's
fascinating.
Unheard of.
It's really like he was like just right off the marina or something like that, like diving for stuff he threw into the ocean or something like that. What do you know the story about this?
He had gotten his boat back after it was repossessed, and so they were all hanging out there one night, and they were drinking and partying and stuff. And at this point in Dennis's life, he was in awful shape. He was living in and out of a hotel with his girlfriend, who a lot of people think was Mike's daughter, who he had a kid with.
Oh,
so that was all the whole thing. But yeah, they were parked at Marina Del Rey, and they were only about, I don't know, maybe 15 feet of water beneath it. It wasn't that much.
Yeah.
and he said he had forgot something in the water, and so he jumped down to get something, and he did it a few times, and the last time he didn't come back up, and when the people found him, they picked him up. He was in the fetal position, which doesn't happen underwater. It's almost like he held himself there to stay with the water.
Wow.
Because when you drown, you're sort of not in control of what your body does.
Yeah.
So seeing him like that, the thought of that breaks my heart. And I remember talking about that on one of my videos one time, and somebody commented, they were like, "You have a lot of empathy for somebody you don't know." And I'm like, "Oh, I mean, being a human being, I'm some weird person." Like, yeah, what a horrible thing to say. But
that's that's a really how could anybody like hear that story and not be fascinated by that? It's interesting. Like,
it really is. I mean, especially because of his last couple of years of life, and just drinking so much, and the drugs he was into, and the last couple of shows he played, he was almost inaudible. Like, he would go up to sing and you couldn't even hear him. His voice was so raspy. He shaved his beard off and he cut his hair shorter, and he looked a lot different than how he looked even 3 years beforehand. But he had a lot of friends. People loved him, and whenever he went to a bar, people would buy him a drink or something, because he would say, "Hey, I'm Dennis from the Beach Boys." Yeah. People would be like, "Oh, I bought Dennis from the Beach Boys a beer,"
Right. Yeah, no,
poor guy.
Yeah, really I couldn't even imagine on that level either. Like, my buddy Toppy, he's an old radio guy, and every time they do promos, like his name's Top Shelf. So like they'd be like, "Hey, well, let's get you a shot of top shelf liquor," and he's like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" I remember him coming up to me. He's like, "You need to hide me, or talk to me." He's like, "Talk to me as long as you can, so we could like." And I see that. Oh shit! I see the guy holding the shots. Oh Jesus Christ! he's coming this way, and I'm like, "Oh no!" And I go, "I can't hold it off too much longer." And he goes, "All right." So then he would just be just trashed by the end of the And these events, they're like 2-hour events. They're not like long events or anything like that. And here everybody's like just in a line to buy this guy shots, and I'm like, oh, it's poor liver.
Wrecked.
It's poor liver.
Oh god.
Yeah, but
poor guy. Yeah. Oh my god.
But I couldn't imagine being Dennis Wilson, right? Like, you're a Beach Boy, and you like to party. Oh shit. No wonder he didn't. Man. Yeah, I could. Yeah, but so have you ever seen the movie Almost Famous?
Yeah, years ago.
So
yeah.
I love this movie. Like, I remember when I first saw this movie, I was like, "Oh my god, this movie's so good." And when they rolled the credits in that movie, I think this came out like 2000 or something like that, 99, 2000,
I think so.
Something like that. But the ending of this movie, when they're rolling the credits, the song "Feel Flows" comes on.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was confusing. I was like, okay, that sounds like the Beach Boys. It sounds like Carl Wilson. Is this Carl Wilson solo, or is this? I don't. It was confusing to me, right? Because I was like, I thought I knew the Beach Boys, so I'd never heard that before. So immediately, and this is right on the verge of a couple years later, you look up everything there is, but people are starting to they're trying to upload stuff as much as they can. But right now, you can't look up anything in the world like you can now. So anyway, so I found out that was the song "Feel Flows." I waited till the end of the credits when they showed the song and everything, and it was the Beach Boys, and I was like, so I give Cameron Crowe credit for getting me into this kind of like lost era to start out with. And,
that's so cool.
Yeah, so like. Now, that album, it's definitely not as strong as, the 1970 album, Sunflower. But there are some great songs on this album as well. Obviously, I mean, I love "Feel Flows." I mean, like every time I hear that song, I'm like, oh God, it's so good. Like, but I saw you review this album, and it was so great because you were really confused because they put possibly the two best songs that were Brian Wilson songs at the very end of the album. And you're like, why would you do that? And I agree completely with you. Like, it is funny. Like, it's fascinating. Like, I'm always fascinated with like where bands like choose to place songs. Some bands like to just boom, start it off, like this is our hit. Boom. This is like, this sets the mood for our album. Some bands kind of like to, make it their second song or even their third song. But The last two songs, Till I Die and Surf's Up, I think those are the last two songs on the album.
Yeah.
But those are two of the strongest, like, those are two, like, some of the strongest albums, or songs on the album. And yeah. So I think you gave that one, I think because of that, you said it was kind of like a mixed bag, and you gave it like an 8 out of 10. And
that sounds right. Yeah. I would have mixed, I probably would have put, I don't know, I would have rearranged the set list a little bit, but yeah, I mean, like, you have this whole different band for most of the album, and then two insanely deep Brian Wilson tracks to close it off, as if he like just woke up and they decided to put him in the studio to finish off the album. But like,
right.
Yeah, and it's funny too because one of Dennis's songs was supposed to be on there called "Wouldn't It Be Nice to Live Again," which would have been a beautiful song to add on there because he's sorely missing on that album.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
because he's kind of like, in a very different way, he's kind of like the Ringo, where like they would throw on like a song or maybe two like of him, and it really mixes it up. Maybe it's better to say George. I don't know.
Yeah, probably a George. Ringo didn't write too much.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and yeah, he has a better voice than okay. Let's agree on George. Yeah. So, but yeah. So then they move on to the next album, which is, they named the next album "Carl and the Passions," So Tough, from 1972. So what's the story behind that? I know that you explained that in the video about that album, but what's the Carl and the Passions kind of story there? That
was one of their old band names. That was literally one of their old band names, and Carl was, before the Beach Boys, they were messing around with, like, before they came to Pendletons or Pendletones rather. And Kenny and the Cadets was another one. But yeah, Jeez. Carl and the Passions was like a high school band name, and they were just talking about the old days, and that thing came up. They're like, "Oh, that's a good name for an album," but massive, stupid move, which their career sadly is full of those. But for Surf's Up, charted really well. It was in the top 30, and for a band that hadn't had a big hit or a big hit album in years, that was awesome. And so they were finally getting some momentum. And so to name their next album "Carl and the Passions," no one knows what the hell that is. So they had to slap a sticker on the front that said "The Beach Boys." This is actually the Beach Boys. And it just didn't. It flopped completely. It sold okay, but it's funny too because that's actually how I discovered Pet Sounds. Was my mom's double play cassette. Side 1 was "Carl and the Passions." Side 2 was Pet Sounds.
Oh wow!
And in America, they had just acquired their rights to all their late '60s albums. So they reissued Pet Sounds in mono as the second disc in that set. So for a lot of people, they were like, okay, what album am I getting here? Am I getting the Beach Boys? Or am I getting Pet Sounds? What is this? So the whole thing was a complete mess.
Sounds like it.
I would have gone back and redone the whole thing if I was there. But
you know what confuses me most about that album? Well, as far as the promotions go. Obviously, that sounds like a debacle in itself, but they picked a very strange single to me to lead off as the main lead single for that album. And just by listening to, like, if I listen to that album all the way through, the song that stands out the most to me is "All This Is That." Like,
I love that song.
I'm like, whoa. Like, it's kind of like, to me, it was kind of like a trippy kind of like, almost kind of like a sequel to the Feel Flows, like in the fact that it's so different. Like,
I can see that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's clearly a lot different, but it's like, it's that trippy kind of like, I don't know what kind of music you call that. Like, I just, when I heard that, I was like, whoa. And then I remember because I didn't know, obviously I didn't know about this album, Carl and the Passions. Who the hell's Carl and the Passions? No, so I remember I Googled it, or I YouTubed this. I mean, this had to be, oh boy, this had to be 2006.
I
think
YouTube.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And it was like one of the first like songs like uploaded, and someone just put like some, I don't know when it was, maybe it was 2010. I don't know. But it was like these like, trippy psychedelic pictures that they had going along with that song. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, what is this song? So that was my introduction to that song. And I don't even know how I found that, but
that's a cool introduction. I love that song. It's such a groove, man. Like, it's such a chant. It's such a groovy, relaxing, otherworldly type of feel. Like, it's all about meditation and the Maharishi and all that stuff. It's very much like, it's kind of like if Tomorrow Never Knows ate a pop brownie.
Right.
That's kind of all this is that is.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah. No. So like, what was the? No, they chose to release that. I think it was like "You Need a Mess of Help"
to stand alone.
Like, it's okay. I mean, like, I like it okay, but it for a lead-off single to me, like it has to pop. Like, and they didn't even. I don't even know if they released "Feel Flows." Was that even released as a single?
No, that was just an album track.
Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, You Didn't Mess to Help to Stand Alone. It's a cool song, but it's a mouthful to say. And that's not good either.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you gotta stumble and figure out what the name of the song is. Not good.
Have you heard that new song by Carlin and the Passions? It's called, no. So it's ridiculous. No, but it's fun to talk about like these albums because I'm really super fascinated with these albums that nobody knows anything about, including myself up until like a few years ago. So like it's fun to go back, and even I think if you Google like some of these albums, Giggens pops up holding the album. So you just click onto the video and boom, you're in. You're sucked into the Giggens world, man. That's not by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Many forces at work on that one. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I think you gave that one like this. Now this one was kind of funny to me. Like you gave that album, Carl and the Passions. So what was by the way, what's the So Tough part? Do you know that part?
That's supposed to be the name of the album.
Oh, like, okay.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like, wait, didn't somebody else do this too? Is this kind of like when Garth Brooks did his alter ego?
Chris Gaines.
Yeah.
and forget that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So no, but you actually gave this album. I love this. You go. This album, I give this album an 8 or a 9 out of 10.
That sounds like me.
You just, I love how nice you are. You wanted so badly to give it that 8, but you're like, you just couldn't do it. You just couldn't do it. You're like, so review number 127, 8 or 9 out of 10. So check that one out. It's such
a good album. It's such a mixed bag of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Marcella. That's a Beach Boys song.
That's a great song. That's such a Brian song. Yeah.
Yeah, and they could have released that as if someone said, hey, there's a handful of songs here that I'm thinking about releasing as the lead single. Which one would you pick? I'm not picking the one that they picked.
No, yeah, some of their single choices over the years have always been questionable, but Marcella would have been great. That would have been awesome. It's upbeat. It's got a cohesive feel to it.
It's Beach Boysy. Totally. You know what I mean? It's not overly Beach Boysy, but it's Beach Boysy. Hey, Marcella. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, come on. And then, if we go back in time, we're calling it the Beach Boys first off, and then maybe call it Carl and the Passions. I don't know.
There we go. There we go. I'm in.
Yeah. And then, I think there's a Dennis Wilson song on there, right? Make It Good.
Make It Good and Cuddle Up. He's got 2 on that one.
Oh, is there 2 on that one? Okay. Yeah. It's kind of haunting. I'm like, well, it's another Dennis Wilson song. It's I'm kind of like cuddling up over here, listening to Dennis talk about some crazy stuff over here. But yeah, it's like his songs are really to me they suck you in, and this is like that period where isn't he like he's writing a ton of stuff, but they're not putting a lot on these albums. And didn't he write like a lot of those songs like on his solo album like years before that solo album came out, or am I off?
Oh yeah, they used to play River Song in 1974 as a band live. Oh, I mean, that song existed for years, and him and Mike wrote Pacific Ocean Blue years before the album came out. So he had songs hanging around for a while, but it was one of those things where like, even George Harrison used to say, how do you get a song on an album with Lennon and McCartney? Like, if you got Brian, Carl, Dennis, Al, all these guys writing songs, it's impossible to get everything on there because there's just too many people writing too many good songs. So the fact that Bruce got songs on those albums is nothing short of amazing, really. But he had a stockpile of stuff, and there's still stuff we don't know about. I mean, he wrote stuff that we'll never know. So he's got a lot of songs hanging around.
They released that album, Pacific Ocean Blue, with like extra songs, on the special edition or whatever. And those songs are like amazing too. I was like, whoa, like all these songs are great. Like it was crazy.
He was so insanely talented, and that's one thing that on my channel I bring up as often as I can, because I sort of I understand that, like, yeah, he wasn't the greatest guy sometimes, but none of them were.
Yeah, right.
Maybe Carl and Bruce and Al have an exception to that, but the other guys, they had their troubling times because they're human and you make mistakes when you're a human. Yeah. But people just think of Dennis Wilson as the crazy party guy, which he was, but there was so much more underneath all that. So,
yeah,
you know, it's one of those things where I try to bring that up as often as I can. I'm not trying to like fight for the guy, but I'm just saying that, like, you know, if you ever, you know, listen to these songs, you'd be like, wow, that's the same guy. You know, it's one of those things.
Right. No, yeah, he's definitely, you know, what's funny is, yeah, the other guy, when you mentioned the other guys, Al Jardine and Bruce Johnston, I have, you know, it's funny, that CD that I bought, that Made in USA, it's made in, yeah. Is it made in USA? It's not made in the USA. Yeah,
it's such a weird word.
Yeah.
Made in, yeah.
I always almost say made in the USA, but I was like, wait, it's actually made in USA. Anyway, so my dad took that to one of the Beach Boys concerts, and he got to, you know, have Bruce Johnston sign that album. So it's like when I got rid of my CDs, which makes me so upset now, because like I was trying to lighten my load when I moved, you know, down to, because I'm originally from Seattle, so so I moved. And I was like, all right, I gotta lighten the load. I'm just gonna sell all these CDs. I already digitized everything to my iTunes, blah blah blah. But now it's like, oh, killed. Like I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on those CDs, you know. But I kept, yeah, right, exactly. But I kept, you know, some of them. Like I kept the Beach Boys one, and I kept, you know, a few other ones. But yeah, never getting rid of my vinyl. I still have the two first records that I bought, the Men at Work and Monkees. I still have those.
Oh, but, yeah. I feel like you can't get rid of that stuff, because that's like this. If you do that, it's kind of like, you know, you just disappear like Thanos or something. It's going to work out.
Yeah, no, I'm never getting rid of those. So I mean, unless, you know, I die and someone donates those. Which, how dare you? I'm gonna come back and haunt you if you do that.
Someone's gonna have a great Goodwill score. Put it that way.
Exactly. So, so would you ever want to interview any of the Beach Boys? I mean, like, it's kind of like one of those things where you're kind of you're crossing over into a different world if you're interviewing the guys that you're reviewing. But maybe not. I don't know. What's your take on that?
You know, I go back and forth on that a lot, and I just did an interview with David Leaf, who wrote all the liner notes for the Beach Boys CDs in the '90s. And
I saw that.
He's been involved with them for like 40 years.
Yeah.
What's that?
I just wanted that. I saw that. That was interesting. He was like,
oh, yeah.
He saw your reviews, and he was like, I got to talk to this guy. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, he contacted me, and at first I thought it was a fake account. So I was like, there's no freaking way David Leaf is talking to him. Not him. And he kept messaging me. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? So I was like, all right, cool. I'll talk back. And it was sure enough, it was him, man. Yeah. But knowing that me and David are like, you know, on talking terms, that we just chat with each other now. Knowing I'm 1 degree of separation from Brian Wilson for right now is enough for me.
So crazy.
That's enough. It's like he's really good friends with them, and they talk a lot, or, you know, every once in a while. But down the line, I think I'd be more comfortable with it. But as of right now,
down the line, these guys are not getting any younger. These guys are not getting.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Isn't that weird? We always think they're gonna live forever because their music is forever, you know?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, totally. It's just really weird. I mean, and they still they look pretty good, you know, and everything like that. But boy, they're getting. I mean, when did they start? Like 1960 or 61 or something like that?
60 years ago.
Yeah. So like, it's they've been performing for 50 years or 60 years or something like that. So
isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's unthinkable.
It's funny. You just think that they're going to be around forever. And that was one of the things that me and David talked about, was we were like, you know, one day there won't be a Beatle. Yeah. And I was like, how dare you?
I think about that so much. And I'm like, oh God, that's so, ew.
What a crazy thought. But yeah, no, I thought about messaging Al, because I feel like he would be the most like approachable to talk to, because I feel like he'd be pretty down to earth.
I was gonna say that. I was literally gonna say, because my next question would be like, who would be the one that you would want to interview? And
it'd be Al. Yeah, Al and Bruce.
He's like always the nice one, kind of like, you know, and and then did you say Bruce next?
Yeah, because Bruce just doesn't give a crap. Like, he's so blunt and honest about everything, and he's also really funny about stuff. So I'd love to talk to him. But Al spills the beans on everything, so it'd be fun to talk to him. He would just tell me stuff I'm not supposed to know. So like, I'm up for that one.
That's really cool, man. Yeah, because like those are the two guys that I came up with originally. Yeah, that's really funny. You know, obviously, you've seen 100 interviews of Brian like on YouTube and elsewhere.
Yeah,
but like he could be kind of you know, difficult. You know, in some of those interviews, they're kind of like awkward. But again, that could have been more just at the time. But also, he's Brian Wilson. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, there's a number of factors there. I mean, so many of those interviews, people don't know how to interview someone, which is instant death right there.
Yeah.
You know, you never ask yes or no questions. That's like the worst thing you can do. And you also have to know your subject. And if you know Brian, you know, one, he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't have to be there. And, you know, people treat him like an encyclopedia. And they're like, you know, when you wrote this song in 1973, how come you didn't put this part here? And it's like, I don't freaking know. I had a great sandwich yesterday. Like, I would talk to him about like, I would say, hey Brian, like, what are you watching?
Yes.
Or like, how are the kids? Like, I would just ask him like human stuff. I don't think I'd even talk about music. I would just ask him like life stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he'd find that more interesting because he doesn't like promoting things. He doesn't like to talk about that stuff because he just wants to create. And I don't think people understand that. I think they sort of treat him like a sideshow animal, as awful as an analogy that is. But
that's a great answer. Like I always think about that too, because like people will ask me like, what would you do if you interviewed Paul McCartney? I'm like, okay, first off, I would probably never interview Paul McCartney. But secondly, if I did interview Paul McCartney, what on earth could I possibly ask Paul McCartney that has not been asked before 1,000,000 times? And probably better than I could ask it. So I'm not going to ask Paul McCartney, hey, so I'd be like, you know, what's his name? Chris Farley. Like, so, hey, Jude, like you did, hey, wrote, Hey Jude. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? Like,
when you wrote, it's like, the love you make is equal to the love you take. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So like, I mean, that's how it'd probably come out if I was like interviewing. There's not many people that I get like super into, like, you know, I worship, like, you know, I'm getting on my hands and knees. But like, you know, if you're getting to that level, I mean, the greatest songwriter possibly of all time. I mean, I know he is. Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin. So at that point, you just like, I mean, I even hear like famous people like Dave Grohl like talking about that. He's like, when I met Paul McCartney, I'm like, I don't even know what to do or say or ask him. And he just wants you to be like, he just wants to be treated like a normal person. So that's probably why.
That's what we forget. Like he isn't a god. He's just a normal dude who grew up with no indoor plumbing. You know?
Yeah, exactly. With a lot more talent than most of us.
Yeah. Because like when I saw Brian, my brother and I went to see the Smile Tour in 2004 or 5.
Oh, awesome.
And we were in the middle of this lobby area. You could like buy a t-shirt, get a hot dog, that kind of stuff. And we saw this circle of dudes in suits walking towards us. And we were like, what the hell is that? And it was Brian and Melinda on the inside of the circle. They were like walking across the lobby to go to somewhere else. And he was like maybe 5.5 feet away from me. And my brain just froze because I was like, that's the guy from the Sandbox. That's the guy who stayed in his bed for 3 years. That's the guy who did this. And I was just like, you know, my brain went to mush. And my brother was like, Brian! Like, whereas he's got all the confidence in the world, I just shut down. I was like...
Yeah, that's funny, man. Did you see I'm sure with this, the dumbest question of the entire, conversation here. Did you see the movie Love and Mercy?
Oh, I love that movie.
So good.
It's so good.
Right?
They did a great job with that.
Yeah. I heard it was like very, like they really took their time with the details on that movie. And
it really
shows.
It's almost creepy.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, being a fan as much as I am, like when I watched it, I pick things apart, you know? And there's been some crappy Beach Boys movies made.
Yes.
And I went to see that in the theaters, and I remember I was like, whoa, they even recreated his bed perfectly. I was like, his robe, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was super, super cool. So like, another recommendation of movies. So if you haven't seen that movie, just drop whatever you're doing, go see that movie. I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. So
yeah, it's on Hulu.
Yeah. So have you ever seen that YouTube channel, Todd in the Shadows?
Oh yeah, I love Todd. Yeah, he's great. He's great.
There's that. Have you seen the Mike Love episode, the one where he does of Trainwreckers?
Oh yeah, they do the Summer in Paradise. Yeah.
It's so funny, dude. It's awesome.
he did an awesome job with that one, man. That was good.
Mike Love, like It's so funny. Like one of my favorite things on your channel is when people ask you about Mike Love. You're like, because like he is one of those Beach Boys that's very kind of like polarizing. You know, people are usually like Team Brian or Team. Well, I don't know if everybody's like extremely Team Mike, but Mike, you know, he's definitely the outspoken, doesn't really give a shit Beach Boy. You know, the main front man.
Mike's kind of the weird one, man, because like as Beach Boys fans, we protect Brian.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy who wrote the songs.
Yeah.
Or, well, Bruce wrote the songs, but that's a little joke for you. But yeah, no, with Mike.
Oh, I got you now. I'm sorry. I was slow to that one. I was slow to that one. I got it.
That was an Inception joke for it. Yeah. Yeah, Mike is polarizing because, and I never give a clear, like, you know, explanation of how I feel because I don't know Mike.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I really can't give a judgment unless I've really met someone. And, you know, we all have our bad days, and sometimes when you're a celebrity, that gets documented, and that sort of goes down as your MO, which sucks. And so, yeah, has he done some crazy stuff? Of course he has. Has Brian done crazy stuff? Of course he has. So, like,
well, Brian is actually crazy at you know, at one point, like,
but
you know, his head was all messed up.
You know,
but yeah,
I understand Mike's point of view where he wanted things to be commercial because that's how you make money and keep your house and your kids fed and all that stuff. And Brian wanted the right to have your stuff, so that's why they were great together. But and
he was the front man. He was the front man. He was
completely. He was the guy up front. He sang all the big early songs. That was his voice, and he's had a great voice for that.
Yep.
So is he my favorite member? Hell no. But you know, is he like when I talk to him, if I met him in person? Of course. Yeah. You know, and we'd have a fine conversation about music or whatever. I think there's a lot going on up there, but you know, maybe his delivery isn't as what we expect of the other guy.
Yeah, no, like I've seen those. You could tell when Brian is like, you know, having a bad day and he wants to vent out on, you know, someone asks him about Mike. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, oh here, let me do an impersonation. I'm getting bug grabbing up and down the chemo trip. Yeah, so it's like it's funny, but hey, those songs were massive hits. So like there wouldn't have been any Beach Boys success without, you know, the old frontman, Mike Love. I do like that. Before he even came out with that album, there used to be those T-shirts, Mike Love, Not War. I used to love. I used to love those T-shirts. But but then he like turned. He made an album out of that because it became such a saying. Like I was like, oh, okay, now. And then I listened to the album and I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's why they never came out.
The production of like his stuff. It's just, I don't know.
A little. I've got an album review coming out soon about Unleash the Love. Oh. And I filmed it. Geez, I filmed that I think last fall, and I've kept putting it off because I'm always like, do I want to really put this out? But I think it's coming out this month or in June of 2021 for the people listening in the future. It's out now. But,
right on.
Yeah, it's coming out at some point, and it's definitely a polarizing experience.
No, I could definitely see like because it is a complex kind of, you know, people want like, are you a big fan of Mike Love? You're like, I mean. It is kind of like it's not really a yes or no question because it is more complex. It's not a yes or no at all. No. Yeah. So I don't know. I just think that's kind of funny. I like as much as I love your reviews and everything. I also like seeing Giggens squirm over answering questions like that. So no, I
let it come out once in a while. Like I did a review about the NASCAR album recently, and for the most part, like we all agreed about its production and all that stuff. But I've gotten like probably a dozen comments from people who are like, you know, who the hell are you to say things like this? And, you know, how dare you criticize things? And I'm like, you can just change the channel, you know? Like,
right. So, yeah, you said that was that the one that you said that you kind of ripped on or something like that and people got angry at? And you're like kind of...
Some people did. Some people did actually get angry at it. Yeah. But most people thought it was funny to see me actually like sort of go off on something because I'm pretty calm. It takes a lot for me to go off on something unless you're talking about like, you know, Rogue One, Star Wars, or Greta Van Fleet, but beyond that, there's not much that I'll get angry about. I'm going down the Greta Van Fleet hole right now, but have me back for another show. We'll do it again.
We'll definitely have to save that. No, but I do love the fact that you're so positive and your reviews, like you can find the good in almost anything, which is amazing to me because I I'm a little bit more like glasses empty than glasses, half full, So, but that's what makes watching your show so enjoyable. It's you're seeing the positive things in music and albums, and whenever you're reviewing, it's always good to see. So,
thanks, man.
Yeah,
that means a lot. Yeah, I do that on purpose because it's so easy to do a negative review on YouTube. That's 90% of what you see on YouTube is negative reviews or people blasting something apart. So to spend time and find something good on it, it seems like finding the good in the world's harder and harder. So I try to make my little channel just something fun. If you have 10 minutes to watch something good, not to sound big-headed or something, but I try to make it decent,
Yeah, no, I mean, there's only so much Simon Cowell you could take. So
I try to be the Randy of the world. It was much more positive. He was really stoked on people most of the time. That's what I try to do.
Nice job, dog. Nice job.
I'll throw a little bit of Paul in there once in a while, and just to shake it up.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, Giggens, I do want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with me a bit about the Beach Boys. And it's kind of weird. Really, we didn't talk too much about Brian Wilson, but again, I think that there's so much talk about Brian Wilson and Pet Sounds that you got to expand it a little bit, and maybe next time we could get into that, and maybe some, I don't know, like some Chromeo or something. Maybe.
I love Chromeo. Yeah. Oh, let's do it, man. Sign me up, dude.
Awesome. Well, hey, I did want to remind everybody to make sure to check out the Giggens page on YouTube. It's called Giggens, right? You just type in Giggens into YouTube, and you come right up, right?
I should. Yeah. I've paid YouTube enough. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at, and I'm on Instagram too with Giggens with an underscore after it. But
awesome.
Yeah, YouTube is my main squeeze there.
That's awesome. So you post like albums on Instagram, or what do you post on the Instagram?
Yeah, I post kind of like what I'm listening to, or like I'll do like in-depth pictures of stuff that I show on YouTube, but in more detail on Instagram. So I try to make it a whole different animal, so it's not the same content twice.
Gotcha. Right on. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, make sure to like his videos, subscribe to his channel, and enjoy the content. He's so much more calm and pleasant to listen to than myself. So, and I love looking at all your albums that you're holding up. All the little weird scribbles of random people from the 70s and 60s and stuff like that. It's all in good fun. So, thank you again, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Had fun talking to you.
Thank you so much. This was an honor to be on. It was a thrill to be on here and chat with you, man. This is a lot of fun. Happy to do it again. Absolutely.
Hey, have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you again soon, okay?
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Giggens. Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends podcast. If you have any questions or comments about today's show, feel free to leave a message in the comment section below. If you enjoy listening to the podcast, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow the show. And check out some of the video clips posted on YouTube and Facebook. I'm Josh, and thank you for being a friend.